Are you finding that you keep thinking about your ex and you wish that you could stop? Well, there's 5 common reasons that we tend to think about them, and also some ways that you can counteract each of those. So one of the reasons that we have a tendency to think about our exes is that we're wanting things to be different. We replay certain moments that in retrospect seem pivotal and start thinking about, well, if only I had said or done something different, then maybe the ending could have been different. And so we play this what if game, constantly reliving things and just wishing that it could be different. But of course, you can't change the past, no matter how often you think about it. Now, what's interesting is that often when we find ourselves wanting things to be different, it's because really we're unsatisfied with something in our current lives. And so instead of wasting energy on trying to change the past, take a critical look at your current situation, at your current surroundings, your current relationships. What is causing you distress there? That is where you should be putting your attention. Sometimes, of course, we're thinking about our exes because we miss them. I know for me, when this used to happen was when I would be in certain situations or see something that would remind me of him, and I wanted to be able to contact him and share that moment with him. But then I realized what I really missed wasn't him. What I missed was the idea of him, who I thought he was. And so this is one of those times when it's really important to be honest with yourself. Do you miss them? Or do you miss who you wish they could have been? Because those are 2 very, very different things. And if you suspect that it's more the latter, that you're missing who you wish they were, this is a time to counteract all of those positive thoughts that you're having with a not so positive fact, something that you remember about them that wasn't so good. Because what you're missing isn't real. Of course, sometimes we think about them simply because we're lonely in our current lives. And so we want to be with somebody that knows us, that understands us. And that's natural. I mean, it's quite common. And especially right now, we're in the midst of the Corona lockdown. And I keep hearing about exes reaching out or people reaching out to their exes because they are lonely. And they want that comfort, that connection. Yet you have to be careful with this. If your ex is not a good person and you don't have a productive relationship with them now, reaching out because you're lonely is only going to backfire because it's going to make you feel even more alone. Instead, nurture those connections that you have in your life. Keep busy and make sure that you have meaning and purpose in your days. Sometimes we reach out because, it hurts to think of them moving on without us. We almost attach our own worth and our own importance to how they react after we are out of their lives. And we want to think of them as hurting, as, absolutely devastated, that without us, they simply wither and die. And it's painful to think of them, being happy without us, because we think that somehow that diminishes our own worth, our own importance. And so we're thinking about them really when what we need to be thinking of is how to build up our own confidence in ourselves and how to believe in our own worth again. And if you find that this is the reason that you tend to think of them, the best advice I have for you is to make sure that you have them blocked on every single social media channel. You do not need to be comparing their curated life with your inner one. And then finally, sometimes we think about them simply out of plain curiosity. After all, this was somebody that for quite some time you knew almost everything about. You knew what they had for breakfast and what their favorite shirt was. And now they're a mystery to you. And our brains abhor those vacuums. They want to fill in those missing pieces. And so what you can do when you find yourself being curious is go ahead and give yourself answers, not by necessarily reaching out, not by looking them up, but just by telling yourself a fact. It doesn't have to be anything real or anything profound, but if you just say, I wonder what they're doing today. Go ahead and tell yourself, oh, I bet they're going to the car wash and going to lunch, and then they're going to go home and have a nap. It can be totally make-believe and silly, but once you have that answer, then your brain can rest. Even though it's normal and common and expected to be thinking about your ex, it's not something that you want to nurture for too long. Because the fact of the matter is they are your past. And if you spend all of your time focusing there, thinking there, feeling there, what energy are you giving to you, your present, and your future? They were a part of your story. But that chapter's over now. And it's okay to turn the page.